my case, it's to invite some of the people who I think have been absolutely at the cutting edge of this field of ICT4D in which we are all working. And at the beginning of the conference and the end of the conference, just get them to reflect on what we're doing and what it's all about. So this first opening plenary is very much to invite people who I think have made a significant difference to on-the-ground changes, and actually getting them to tell us boring academics what they think we should be doing. So will you welcome them all individually up to the front? First of all, Erik Hersman, who is co-founder and director of operations at Ushahidi. Secondly, Anriette Esterhuysen, executive director of the Association for Progressive Communication. Thirdly, Anita Gurumurthy from IT for Change. Fourthly, Ken Banks of Kiwanjanet, creator of Frontline SMS. Indrajit Banerjee, director of the Information Society Division at UNESCO. Quite simply, I've asked each of our distinguished practitioners to begin with 5 minutes telling academics what they think we should be doing, what the challenges for the future are, and where we should be going.
I thought I would start off with my first thought, which is I still have a problem trying to define what ICT4D is. You know, I think as a technologist and somebody who actually makes things that, you know, it's tools and organizations versus their uses. And I think there's a lot of pigeonholing that goes on with the tools, calling them ICT4D tools, ICT4D organizations, and then sometimes it's just, it's equally usable around the world. You know, Ushahidi gives us a unique perspective on this. You know, we came from Africa, and we're now used all over the world too. But you know, we sometimes get pigeonholed as an ICT4D tool, and I don't think that's any more true than if you said Mozilla with Firefox is also an ICT4D tool, because it's a non-profit tech organization that also has a tool that's used all over the world. And you can say the same thing for Drupal, it's used by a lot of NGOs. So how does this, you know, I think that's the discussion point that I'd like to hear about as well. How does what's the conflation point between tools and uses?
I think more politics and more context. ICT4D does not take place in a vacuum, and I think the ICT4D academic community tends to often ignore the broader social and political governance context within which the practice takes place. I'd like more critical thinking and analysis. I want more research that focuses on people's needs and development problems and development challenges, because for us as practitioners, we're only good if we respond to real needs. And to do the kind of in-depth baseline research that helps us understand those needs comprehensively is something we simply cannot afford. So if the academic community can help with that, it would be very useful.
Something else which ICTD is about. My first question for all researchers from the perspective of practice and development is, how do you make sure that ICTD initiatives are community-owned? So when you talk about community ownership, you know, you're talking about a community that's unbounded, a community that's hybrid, and not just geographically located anymore. So we're living in the information age, and so the notion of the community is, as a category, is in a great deal of flux. And that's because of the way network society constructs locality. I find in most research an over-valorization of the digitally mediated anarchic community that is somewhat unhinged from the material realities of life. The community, as it is situated in geographic localities of social practices, relationship architectures, and technological infrastructures. Therefore, we seem to lose the woods for the trees in our enthusiasm to claim the anarchic digital and jettison the geographic material. Perhaps, much research seems successfully to have denaturalized people's identities from specific associations to geography, affiliations, and solidarity. And so, you have development literature that takes the utopic view of new solidarities around Facebook and a new space of flows, sloganeering around the rapid diffusion of mobiles, 5 billion mobile connectivities. without due attention to an anthropology that's more systemic and mediated as much by institutional realities as by technology.
Do anything. So I'll just make that point at the beginning. One of the things that I'd love to see in ICT4D is some kind of, this may exist in fact, I'm meant to be aware of it, but there's some kind of directory of who's out there, you know, perhaps just take the academic side, but who's out there, who's doing what, who's interested in what, where their expertise lies, because I think there's a huge untapped resource out there of academics and university staff and stuff who provide some real value into ICT4D projects, but many projects that could benefit from that don't know they're there and don't know they're looking for things to research perhaps. So I think that could certainly tie up. Also, when you think about it, if you're a doctor or a physician, you need to study to do that. You can't just suddenly become a doctor or a dentist. I think in ICT4D, almost anybody can suddenly create a website and a Twitter stream and suddenly be working in ICT4D. And that's slightly dangerous in a way, because, you know, if you're talking about saving people's lives or building tools or getting involved in projects which can have an impact on people's lives, I think if you're misinformed or you have an opinion which is not necessarily held by many people, or you're doing controversial things, you can do bad, dangerous things that have unintended consequences. So I think some kind of a directory which tells us who's doing what and where their interests are, where their expertise lies, I think would be very, very useful.
In my view also, if you look at the evolution of ICT4D research, we spent a long time to try and overcome or beat the hype and prove that ICTs do have an impact on development. And in the process, we have gone to the other extreme of trying to isolate ICT as an independent variable in terms of development. And I don't think that works. I think to see the same ICT being used in different parts of the world, the results are very different. Therefore, what we need to do now is to refocus, recenter our research and try and identify what are the contextual and capability variables which actually particularly trigger off ICT impact on development. And I think there's a huge vacuum in terms of research. A fourth strand is the need urgently to focus a significant amount of our resources to research on mobile platforms. If you see the numbers in terms of internet penetration and mobile diffusion, I mean, it's very clear that mobile phones are much more widespread, about 5 billion, I think Anita said, today, and actually concentrate research on various impacts, implications on one hand of mobile communications, and on the other hand, how they can be harnessed effectively for furthering development. I think I'll stop with that.